So we will now go back into the MACPro training environment to review the report as the state point of contact. The state point of contact has the ability to edit the report, return the report to the state editor for further work, or to submit the report to the state director for review, certification, and submission. So now we're going to review the 2015 report as the state point of contact, but we first need to log out as a state editor, which we've already done, and now we're logging back in as the Virginia state point of contact. Again, remember, we are in the training environment today, and therefore what you see is not a reflection of the Commonwealth of Virginia, but is arbitrary information only being used for training purposes. We are taken to our news page like we were previously. You can see there's some kudos on this page, as well as some messages between the Virginia State Editor and the Virginia State Point of Contact. Now let's review the 2015 report by selecting tasks on the upper toolbar. You'll mention before I mentioned that when the State Editor submitted their report for review, the State Point of Contact will receive a notification in their email inbox as well as a task in MACPro. There are other tasks listed here because we are in this training environment. We're going to select the Review and Edit Report MIH Quality Measure task for the report ID ending in 985. We first need to accept this task. This is because there may be more than one state point of contact. The task will initially go to all appropriate users. Once the task is accepted by an individual, the task is removed from the other users' task lists. So select the green Accept button to proceed, which we've already done. You now have the option as the state point of contact to select any of the measures that you would like to review. For this training, we're going to select the Use of Contraceptive Methods by Women measure. Then we're going to scroll to the bottom of the page and select Go to Selected Measure. Before we click that though, I want to take a moment to point out that if you send for certification by accident instead of clicking Go to Selected Measure, and you still wanted to take some time to review, there's no need to fret. This sends the report to the state director, and they can simply send it back to you by denying certification. So now we're going to click the Go to Selected Measure button. This takes us to the measure information. To view all the responses without manually expanding every field, you may select View All Responses at the top of the page like we did with the State Editor. As the SPOC, you may edit this section. For this training, we're going to change the status of the data reported from final to provisional. Then after reviewing the entirety of the measure, we would scroll to the bottom of the page. As the SPOC, every time you click into a report to review, you must make sure before you exit that you select Yes, validate this measure for the measure to be complete. If you do not select Yes, the measure will show up as in progress, and you will not be able to forward the report to the state director. The core measure will not display as complete, like I mentioned, unless the validation is on, just to reiterate. So we're first going to select Save. This is going to take us back to the top of the page. We're going to scroll back to the bottom, and we're going to click Go to Admin Screen. So you would continue this process for the use of contraceptive methods by postpartum women measure as well. Once your review is complete, you have the option to return the report to the state editor for continued edits. If you do this, the state editor will receive a notification that the report has been returned to them for edits, and they will have a task in their task list when they sign into MACPro. We encourage you to communicate with your team. You can do so using the news page functionality, or you can do so outside of MACPro as well using email. If an SPOC returns the report to a state editor for further changes, it is a good idea to send the state editor a note letting them know what specific changes you would like within the system. Alternatively, the SPOC, also known as the state point of contact, may send the report to the state director for review and certification. So for this training, we're going to send the report to the state director for certification. This returns us to our task list. We're going to refresh it quickly to make sure it caught up to us. And a task to review the 985 report is no longer listed for us. The state director will receive a notification letting he or she know that there is a report to review and certify in MAC Pro, and they will also have a task listed in their task list when they enter MAC Pro. So we're going to pause to return to the PowerPoint to review the steps we completed thus far and what's next. So we're back on our flowchart here, and if we focus this time on the second row, or the state point of contact section, we will see that first the SPOC received an email notification that a report is ready for review and logged into MAC Pro, selecting Tasks on the upper toolbar and clicked the task to review and edit the report. We accepted the task and began reviewing and editing the measures. As we made edits, we ensured that validation was on so that the measure would be in the complete status. After finishing the review, we selected Send for certification. Next, the state director reviews the report, so let's return to the training environment to complete this next phase of the workflow. So we're going to log out as the Virginia State point of contact, and this time we're going to log in as the Virginia State Director. Again, we are in the training environment, and this is not a reflection of the state of Virginia. When your state completes your quality measure information, please be sure to follow all technical specifications. So now we're in MAC Pro, and like when the state point of contact logged in, the state director also is taken to their news page and also has some tasks in their task bar, as we can see at the top of the page. We're going to review the 2015 report, so we're going to select tasks to get started. We're then going to select the Review and Certify Report, Virginia MIH Quality Measure, for the report ending in 985. There is some traffic in here, and that is related to this being the training environment. So this takes us to the report admin page. Before we can begin our review, we must first accept the task at the top of the page. Now, unlike the state point of contact and the state editor, the state director does not have the ability to edit the core measure information. If there are issues with the report, the state director has the option to deny certification. This will return the report to the state point of contact for further review and edits. However, the state director will not be able to deny certification without entering a comment into one of the measures. And we're going to show you how to do that as we move through here. So first, let's review a measure as the state director, and we're going to select the use of contraceptive methods by women. The state director may view the information input into MAC Pro by the state editor and/or the state point of contact. And as I mentioned, the state director may add a comment into the measure at the bottom of the page. For this training, we're going to add in that it looks great. We're feeling positive today. And again, please note that the state director will not be able to return the report back to the state point of contact for continued review and edits without entering comments in at least one measure. Now that we've done our quick review of the measure information and entered a comment, we will return to the admin screen by selecting the option at the top of the page titled Back to Admin Screen. Unlike the other pages we have seen, this does save the comment information that you've entered. There is not a save button for you to select prior to continuing. Now that we are back on the admin screen, let's take a moment to point out the information that is available here. The state director may view the report information, such as the annual report ID, report year, extension date if that applies. Additionally, the state director may review the audit information, including who created the report and who last updated the report, along with dates and times for these actions. The state director also can review each measure, the delivery system information, external contractor information, and report documents. At the bottom of the page, the state director may either deny certification or certify and submit the report to CMS. Again, as I've been repeating throughout this section, the state director may not deny certification unless a comment is included in a core set measure. The Certify and Submit to CMS button is always available regardless of comments included. Let's certify the report and submit to CMS. To do this, select Certify and Submit to CMS at the bottom of the page. A note pops up to ask us if we are sure we want to submit the report to CMS. Select Yes to continue. This returns us to our task list. And you will notice that the task to review this report is no longer listed. CMS has now received a notification that our report was submitted and it's available for their review. You will also receive a notification letting you know that your report was submitted. This is the end of the state process flow for submitting an MIH quality measure report. So we're now going to return to the PowerPoint to review the steps we just completed in the state workflow. We will return to this training environment to review some more information after that. So this time we're going to focus our attention to the third row, or the state director swim lane. We logged in to MACPro as the state director and clicked the Tasks option on the upper toolbar, then selected the Review and Certify Report task. We accepted the task and began reviewing the report. We added a note to one of the measures, which activated the option to return the report to the state point of contact. Instead of returning the report or denying certification, we certified and submitted the report to CMS since it was thoroughly completed. This ends the state workflow that is shown on this page, and at this point, CMS receives the report to review. If along the way they have questions about the report, they may submit a Seek More Information request. Once CMS's review of the report is complete, they will accept the report to complete the entire workflow in MACPro. I'm going to pause for a couple of minutes to answer any questions. So, Sally, can you please open the lines for Q&A again?
Sure, thank you. So again, if you do have a question, it's start, then 1, record your name, and then press the hash or pound key. Thank you.
Question through the chat box. For submitting our data as an upload into the system, is it preferred that it be in Excel? Lakeisha, I wanted to throw this one to you. Do you have a preference?
Lakeisha, are you on mute?
Oh, sorry. Yes, I was on mute. Excel should be sufficient if needed.
Great, thank you. Were there any other questions in the chat box or in the queue?
No questions in the queue.
Thank you. We'll give it about another... Hello? Yep.
Katie, this is Lakeisha. Just wanted to ask a question. Since you've given a lot of information and perhaps folks on the line have not had a lot of time to absorb, I know the training is being recorded and slides would go out after this presentation, but is there any other way for states to get information on the steps that you've previewed?
Yes, there will also be some quick start guides available that will provide some additional step-by-step directions for going through this process.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, of course. Okay, so it sounds like we don't have any more questions. If you have something come up, you can feel free to use the chat box feature. We're going to keep going, and we're going to go back into the training environment to review how to respond to a Seek More Information request if your state were to receive one from CMS. So we're going to go over what to expect if CMS sends a Seek More Information request, and we first need to log in as the Virginia State Point of Contact. And now if this occurs, the state will receive a notification from MACPRO indicating that CMS submitted a Seek More Information, also known as an SMI request. And the state point of contact will receive a task in their task list to respond to the SMI request for the specific report. First, we need to select tasks on the upper toolbar to go to the SPOC's task list. We're going to select the Respond to Seek More Information request, MIH Quality Measure, Virginia 2015 MIH 977. We're going to go down to the next one. Yep, that one. Task. Now, this is something that we put in place prior to this training just to stay efficient with our time. This is a different package than the one that we just created. Now, like we have done throughout the training for other tasks, the state point of contact must accept the task to begin. Tasks are sent to all individuals with the appropriate role. Once an individual accepts the task, it is removed from the other users' task lists. As a quick note, you have the option to return the task to all assignees by selecting Return to all assignees at the top of the page. Alternatively, you may also reassign the task to another individual by selecting Reassign Task on the left side of the page. You then have the option to choose an individual from all assignees or to choose from all users and groups. As a quick note, if you begin working on the task but then decide to reassign the task to another teammate, MACPRO will not save your work. For this demo, we will not reassign the task. However, this is something you can keep in mind while you are working. Additionally, the state system administrator can reassign tasks if, for example, someone is on vacation and their task needs to be worked on, but it's stuck in their queue. Now, this page shows the specifics related to the Seek More Information request. The federal fiscal year for the report is 2015. There are CMS questions to the state listed in a table format. There are files uploaded by CMS if applicable, and there is an area for you to upload documents as well. In order to begin answering CMS's questions, select the number for the question that you would like to begin with. In this case, we're going to start with number 1. For this question, we will include our state's response. In this case, we're just going to write this as an example response for training purposes. Then indicate that we will not update the report as a result of the response above. Once we've entered this information, we're going to select Save Response. And we're going to move on to the next question by selecting question 2. Like we did previously, we're going to enter a response to CMS in the text box provided. However, unlike last time, we're going to indicate that we will need to edit our report by selecting Yes. Once we finish responding, we're going to select Save Response. Next, if CMS had uploaded a file for us to view, it would be included in the table below. In this case, there were no files uploaded. We also have the opportunity to upload a document to the SMI request. So let's upload a PDF to accompany our response by selecting Browse and choosing one of our documents we had in place for training. Our document is now uploaded. If we would like to remove the document, we could do so by selecting Remove to the right of the document name. Finally, we're going to be sure to save the document. The document is saved as in progress, and if you get stuck at that page, you can click Refresh to be taken back, and we can see that the document is now saved. You can no longer select Save Documents. It is in gray, and you can no longer click on it, and that's because this document has now been saved. We are now finished responding to the SMI request for CMS. So we're going to submit our response by selecting Send Responses to CMS at the bottom of the page. This returns us to our task page, and you will notice the SMI task that we were just completing for this package is no longer in our list. CMS has received our responses. Again, I want to point out there are several tasks listed here, but this is simply because we're in a training environment and there's some more traffic going on in here than you will likely see when you log into MACPRO. Now let's review how to update the report in case changes are necessary based off the SMI or Seek More Information response. So go to the Actions tab to begin. We will need to uncertify the report in order to have the ability to edit the core measure information. As a point of clarification, you will not need to uncertify all reports that are put into the Seek More Information or SMI status, only those that require changes to be made. There may be some SMI requests that only require further explanation, not changes. However, other SMI requests may point out discrepancies in the report that need to be corrected. So to begin this process of uncertifying, we're going to select Uncertify Annual Report from the Actions page. Then we're going to enter the package ID information, in this case, Virginia 2015 MIH 977. If by chance you don't know what this number is or you forgot, you could look it up by going to the Records page at the Records tab at the top of the page. We're now going to click Search for Report. The report information comes up as well as the audit information. We're going to take a moment to confirm this is the correct report that we'd like to uncertify. Once we're sure, we're going to select Uncertify at the bottom of the page. Now there will be a task in our task list to review and edit the report that was just uncertified, and state users in Virginia will receive a notification that the report has been uncertified. So go to the Tasks option on the upper toolbar to begin the editing process. Before we select our task, let's take a look at the green arrow above the link to the task. Notice that the green arrow is pointing towards MAC State POC VA. If a task is not yet claimed, the green arrow will point towards who received the task. If we had claimed the task, the green arrow above the task would be pointing towards me. Let's select the task to review and edit the report we just uncertified. Like we have done with all other tasks, we first need to accept the task by selecting Accept at the top of the page. Then you have the option to update the report and submit to the state director. You may also return the report to the state editor for them to work on the edits. For this demonstration, we're going to make the appropriate edits and submit to the state director. So we're going to edit the first core measure, which is use of contraceptive methods by women, by selecting the checkbox next to the measure and going to the bottom of the page to click Go to Selected Measure. We will expand the status of the data reported section and update the status from provisional to final. We will then scroll to the bottom of the page, select Yes for validation, and then click Save. Once our information is saved, we're going to select Go to Admin Screen. We have now updated the measure appropriately and are ready to resubmit to the state director. The state director will need to recertify the submission and resubmit to CMS. So to do this, we're going to select Send for Certification at the bottom of the page. Again, the state director process will be the exact same as we reviewed earlier in this training. In order to be efficient with our time, we are not going to re-review this process. The state director will need to re-review, recertify, and resubmit the report to CMS. Now this is the end of our in-system demonstration portion of today's training. Let's return to the PowerPoint to review the help desk information, and then there will be an opportunity to answer any final questions. So help desk and technical assistance will be available to MacPro users. We expect users to have questions as the MacPro system starts being used, especially with issues including login information, passwords, accessing MacPro, and viewing quality measure reports. Although there will be trainings and reference materials available to walk through the quality measure reporting, submission, and review processes, there are also two ways to get technical assistance. To obtain assistance on using the MacPro system itself, contact the MacPro Help Desk by emailing macpro_helpdesk@cms.hhs.gov or by calling 301-547-4688. This help desk is for issues related to MacPro access and how to use the MacPro system. The Request Technical Assistance link inside of the MacPro system will allow you to submit a TA request to the CMS Medicaid and CHIP Quality Measures Technical Assistance and Analytics Support Program mailbox. This link should be used for questions related to the report content, such as how to develop state rates based on data from multiple data sources, or questions about the measure technical specification. If you have report content questions outside of MACPro, you can contact this team by emailing macqualityta@cms.hhs.gov. To expedite an answer to your request, here's the information that should be provided in an email request to the MACPro help desk. Again, this is related to system questions and user access. We ask that you provide your contact information, the authority you are using, such as maternal and infant health, adult quality measures, etc. Give a detailed description of the problem, including how many people are being affected by it. Specify the last screen or activity that was performed before experiencing the issue, if applicable. And include the error message that appeared, and preferably a screenshot if that is relevant to your issue or question. Now let's discuss next steps. If you requested a MACPro role last month, keep an eye out for an email containing your user ID information. If you need an ID, please contact your program's primary quality measure contact for assistance. Please note that if you have not requested a role at this point, we cannot guarantee you'll be able to get one in time for the MACPro launch date. Also, an announcement will be sent when MACPro goes live. Once you receive this notice, you'll be able to begin reporting in MACPro. Also, please stay tuned for the future release of training material and other trainings. This is the end of our demonstration today. I'm going to